Thinking. Blink book by Malcolm Gladwell. Introduction. The main point of Malcolm Gladwell's book is the importance of thin slicing or making decisions without an in-depth assessment. The author promotes the idea that analysis can cause unnecessary paralysis, which hinders efficiency. Gladwell points out the critical importance of intuitive thinking and a quick decision-making process, which does not require a large amount of time and resources. Although the author focuses on various aspects of thin slicing, the narrowed-down focus of the book lies in applying quick and intuitive thinking and avoiding the extensive use of in-depth assessments. Thin slicing. The author is trying to explain that there is no need for thorough comprehension and a high volume of data to make effective conclusions. This is especially true in the case of forecasts of social processes based on expert assessments because, as a rule, there is a place for intuitive examination. The author states, there's a second strategy, though. It operates a lot more quickly. This means that such a decision-making process is much quicker. The book claims that there are moments, particularly in times of stress when haste does not make waste, when our snap judgments and first impressions can offer a much better means of making sense of the world. In other words, an intuitive examination is a such forecast in which the expert in his or her predictions does not rely on reliable data and proven methods for obtaining them within the framework of his or her specialized knowledge, but rather on his or her intuition, guesswork, and imagination. However, a forecast based on expertise outside the framework of special knowledge and methods is considered unreasonably risky not only in exact disciplines but also in the humanities. The author writes, the answer is that when our unconscious engages in thin slicing, what we are doing is an automated, accelerated unconscious version of what Gottman does with his videotapes and equation. The expert's intuition is traditionally paid close attention to by interviewers who try to build a conversation so that the expert in forecasts does not go far from the field of their professional competence. In sociological forecasts, the expert, due to the interdisciplinary nature of the subject of forecasting, often goes beyond this framework and seems to act without explicit support for a specialized regulatory framework for comparative analysis and conclusions. As the book states, the gift of their expertise is that it allows them to have a much better understanding of what goes on behind the locked door of their unconscious. It seems that for short-term forecasts of social processes, the role of intuitive examination should be much more modest than medium-term ones, not to mention long-term ones. However, this does not always happen, and intuitive observation is included in short-term forecasts not only because of problems with reliable information about the phenomenon, its novelty, or inaccessibility to study. In a scientifically applied study of social phenomena, the hypothesis of the future cannot be proved, as in mathematics, and, of course, one cannot believe in its truth, as in astrology, fortune-telling on cards, and other magic rituals. This is also because the subject of research, in contrast to natural phenomena, is capable of changing under the influence of the forecast made. The author claims, our unconscious reactions come out of a locked room, and we can't look inside that room. But with the experience, we become experts at using our behavior and our training to interpret and decode what lies behind our snap judgments and first impressions. Here, hypotheses are confirmed or refuted only under certain conditions, in a specific context and time interval, and conditions in the world of social things tend to change frequently. For example, when experts may predict the spread of socially dangerous diseases such as HIV/AIDS, they might initially isolate it from many important factors that do not fall within their competence and downplay the role of these factors. Gladwell attempts to explain that thin slicing is widespread among experts and professionals. He writes, when experts make decisions, they don't logically and systematically compare all available options. Therefore, medical workers will consider the number of beds in medical institutions and the relevant specialists per capita, the availability of modern drugs, and the availability of preventive measures among the population in the form of promoting a healthy lifestyle and reporting on the dangers of alcohol as the dominant factors in the forecast of the dynamics of the spread of chemical dependencies and smoking. In their projections, police officers will rely on the dynamics of the alcohol and drug markets, the number and quality of law enforcement officers, and changes in the legislative framework. Economists will pay attention to the level of unemployment, income, and prospects for improving the welfare of the population. Analysis. I mostly disagree with the main point of the author because he is actively promoting intuitive and quick decision-making as a better alternative to critical and extensive evaluation. The main reason is that Gladwell is advancing the idea that such an unconscious thinking pattern can be trained and allow people to make quick conclusions. Although it can be useful, it is much better to educate people on critical thought and possible ways of becoming efficient at in-depth assessment. For example, intuition mostly fails when there is an issue of resource allocation between one or two tasks. The majority of meaningful and life-changing discoveries and inventions did not emerge by mere intuition, but rather through long-term commitment and deep understanding. It is stated that intuition possesses several constraints that limit any form of professional expertise. Throughout the book, Gladwell uses logical fallacies, such as cherry-picking, obfuscation, and appeal to nature. I would not disagree with the author if he did not propose improving one's quick, intuitive thinking to replace in-depth analysis. However, the book is highly supportive of the notion of using unconscious assessment as a miracle tool for all problems. The research suggests that the statement of intuition being a source of evidence is faulty and fails under a thorough analysis. Therefore, there are situations when quick evaluations are needed, but the preference should lie with extensive critical thinking rather than a subconscious, intuitive one. Conclusion. In conclusion, Gladwell's book Blink is an interesting piece of literature that primarily focuses on people's ability to make quick, intuitive decisions with limited information and time. The author is trying to explain that even experts are capable of utilizing such an approach, and in-depth analysis can cause stagnation and might be inefficient. However, it is important to realize that the overall purpose of intuitive thinking is narrow, and critical and in-depth comprehension is always superior to an unconscious biased one.